Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I want to hear creepy shit that you have experienced. Actual experiences. No bullshit, please.
Going to write out some OC here that's been happening over the last few nights. Live in upstate New York. Very rural. Lots of woods and animals. Be a night owl. Stay up until 5 a.m. or so often. Always posted up in a chair by the open window. Live in a quiet area at the base of a mountain. Very little traffic or noise at night. Night 1. About 4 nights ago, hear rustling outside. We have a black bear that rummages through our garbage, so I assume it's him. Grab some pots to take outside and bang to scare him away. Don't feel like cleaning up scattered garbage in the morning. Go outside with flashlight on, pots at the ready. Notice a slightly foul smell. Assume it's garbage from the dumpster. The dumpster is pretty foul smelling. Shine light towards the dumpster. No sign of bear or any mess from garbage. I guess it wasn't the bear after all. Yet the smell still lingers. It's like a sickly sweet, rotting smell. Anyone who's stood near a dumpster full of rotting food on a hot day knows what I mean. Start to get spooked, so I speed walk back inside. Night 2. It's about 3 a.m. I'm listening to a podcast when I start to hear noises outside again. Mute the podcast. Listen very closely. Only sound is the sound of crickets and the slight thump-thump of what sounds like something bumping into the dumpster or moving around the big heavy plastic lid. Turn off all interior lights so that I can see outside better and see if the bear is back. Eyes take a second to adjust, and then I see what looks like a tall figure standing next to the dumpster, seemingly leaning on it. Oh shit, he's back. We've seen the bear on his hind legs before, and he's at least 6 feet tall, so I assume it's the bear. Grab my cell phone to use the flashlight to get a better look. Turn on the flashlight and shine it outside. Suddenly realize this bear might not be a fucking bear. The bear turns towards the source of the light instantly. I've seen the bear many times over the past year or so, and have come to recognize his features. He's tall, wide, shaggy with fur and extra skin, and is constantly grunting and huffing as he moves around. Whatever I'm looking at is not a fucking bear. The thing I'm looking at is at least 6+ feet tall, but unnervingly skinny. Like too skinny to be a homeless guy or functioning human skinny. The eyes are huge. They're catching the light and reflecting it back at me, yet they look like giant, empty black holes. There's just enough light that I can see his outline clearly, and some slight features, but just dark enough that I can't get a real clear look at him, so I can't pin down what the fuck I'm looking at. Begin to notice a pretty rank smell through the air again. Thought it was a skunk, but it was too rancid. Smelled more like a rotting animal. I'm staring at this thing, jaw practically on the windowsill as I try to rationalize what it could be, when my head bumps the open window above me. It's an old window. It rattles and makes a lot of noise. As soon as I hit it, the creature outside turned and ran off into the woods across the street with the most unsettling gait I'd ever seen. The thing basically waddled away with its arms at its sides, as if it wasn't able to bend its elbows or knees. Its limbs were rigid as it ran across the street at a freakish pace. Noped and nearly shit myself. Jump up and run to the front door to check that it's locked and close all the curtains. I'm not an operator. I don't have any guns. So I grab the aluminum baseball bat from under my bed, along with the biggest knife I own, and sit in front of the window again to see if I can spot this thing. I sit with my chin on the windowsill, staring out into the woods about 40 feet from my window for 30 minutes, but he never comes back. The smell faded about 10 minutes after he ran off, and I checked outside around the house the next day. No roadkill. Night 3. Playing some vidya under the same conditions. Quiet night, windows open, keeping an ear out for anything weird. Probably around 2:30 a.m. when I noticed that smell again. Accepting at this point that the smell is associated with something living, not a dead animal, because it keeps coming and going. Basically preparing myself at this point for some weird shit. Check out the window periodically. Don't see or hear anything weird. About 30 minutes or so go by with the smell getting progressively stronger. I pause my game for a second and am typing on my laptop when I hear a sound that has literally haunted me from the moment I heard it. I hear a weird snapping sound like a branch breaking under a person's weight, and then a blood-curdling scream. I basically melt into my chair, wide-eyed. The shriek doesn't end, but rather gets louder and more frantic. My first thought is feral cat fight, as we have a lot of them around. But this is clearly only one animal screaming. What I'm hearing basically sounds like a small mammal being slowly eaten alive. Most likely a cat, based on the shrillness of the shrieking. I turn off all the lights, get onto my knees and stick my head out the window. The moon is full and it's rather bright, but I can't see a thing. Whatever is happening is very close but out of my field of vision. This terrible shrieking continues for a solid 60 to 90 seconds. I don't know what it is, but at this point I feel like I'm listening to something be tortured to death, and I just want it to end for both our sakes. It finally ends abruptly. I hold my breath and listen carefully for another sound, any sign of what the fuck was going on out there. There's a few moments of silence, and then I hear it. The silence was broken by what sounded like a loud, wheezing exhale, followed by a maniacal yet unnatural laugh. Something outside is bellowing out this weird cackle that almost sounds like a hyena's laugh, but as if it was a person doing an impression of one. On top of all that, it just sounds robotic, forced, like it was being read off of a sheet of paper or something. I'm sweating bullets at this point without even realizing it. I'm in my living room looking out, but I feel so unsafe in that moment. There's nothing but a screen and 40 feet separating me from whatever is out there. The cackling stops, and I stay as still as possible for what feels like forever, waiting for another noise. No noise comes. Just as I'm considering getting up and trying to pretend like that shit didn't just happen, I fucking see it. I notice some movement behind my car. I see what looks like the top of someone's head poking over the top. It's an SUV, so whoever it is human male height. I squint to make out the details but can't, so I grab my flashlight and shine it outwards again. As the light hits the car, I see what looks like the most inhuman human I've ever seen in person. He's partially behind the car, but I plainly seem to be looking at a 6+ foot tall man with shoulder-length hair who is impossibly gangly. His arms are nearly to his knees. He's leaning out from behind the car, as if he's peeking around it at me. But then I notice that it's the back of his head I'm looking at, as if he's got eyes in the back of his head or something. I'm scared to goddamn death. Hoping to God it's just a homeless guy or something. We're way too rural for random homeless guys to be wandering onto our property. I yell out, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing on my property?" in my best NYC accent to try and scare him off. This guy or thing suddenly started moving around like he was laughing uncontrollably, but there wasn't sound at first. After a few seconds, he starts letting out that weird, mechanical cackle from before. He keeps cackling, and I can only pull myself together enough to yell, "Hey!" at him again to try and get his attention. He stops laughing and screams, "Hey!" in a seriously loud voice, like he was screaming full volume. And at this point, now that it's talking, I'm more scared than I've ever been in my life. I try to bluff and yell out, "I've got a gun," to scare him off, which quiets him but doesn't make him leave. Every piece of me is screaming, "This is not right. Something is off about this. Abort, abort." But the rational part of me is saying, it's probably just a homeless guy and he's fucking with your car. Decide to put my war face on and go confront him from a distance and chase him off. Grab the baseball bat, go outside, and walk toward the driveway. I only took my eye off him for a second, but in that time, he moved about 30 feet from the car to the end of the driveway, catching me off guard. He's standing completely still about 50 feet away, facing away from me, staring at the pavement, when suddenly that shrieking starts again, and it's clearly coming from him. One of the few times in my life have I felt the adrenaline of a true fight-or-flight situation, and this topped all of those easily. I do what I do to scare a bear off, and just start smashing the aluminum bat on the pavement, making a super loud and unpleasant noise, all the while backing towards my front door. This guy fucking turned around to face me, still shrieking, and then sprinted off into the woods, backwards, fucking backwards. That was all it took to sap my last bit of bravery. I sprinted inside, slammed and locked the door, waking up my girlfriend in the process and scaring her half to death. I sat on the floor, shaking like a leaf, and, from what my girlfriend said, white as a sheet and sweating profusely. My girlfriend told me that she had woken up to the shrieking and basically sat in bed too petrified to move. She called out to me, but I was already outside at that point, so I never heard her. A minute later, my cell phone rang. Mind you, it's about 3:30 a.m., and it was my landlords who live upstairs. They asked me if I knew what was happening because they heard what sounded like an animal being killed, a ton of shrieking, and then me screaming and smashing a baseball bat around. Not wanting to sound like a paranoid schizophrenic, I told them what happened without saying exactly what I saw, just that I thought I heard the bear. The one landlord, Steve, says, "The bear's been coming back around the past few weeks, but there's something else too. I woke up the other night and saw some tall, slender shadow moving around between the cars. I thought it was someone trying to break in, so I beamed my floodlight down on him, and this guy bolted off into the thickest part of the woods back there." I can't explain to you how relieved I was to have someone else say they saw the same thing, so I told him everything that happened, and he believed every word. Needless to say, I never went back to sleep that night, and I've been extra careful to lock every entrance to our house every night since. This happened 2 nights ago, and I haven't seen the thing since, but I did catch a whiff of that terrible smell again last night. I pride myself on being a rational person. I believe what I see, and even if I see it, I question and debunk the shit out of it all I can. I'm having a hard time doing that here. I grew up in this area. I'm used to wild animals being in my backyard. I've seen all manner of animal, big and small, and I'm confident that what I saw was no animal. Its physical size and movements disprove a bear, and there aren't any other mammals that big around here that it could be. The cackling was definitely not from any coyote or other wild dog, which is the only thing I could think of that could produce a noise like that. It certainly wasn't an owl or anything like that, and we sure as shit don't have hyenas around here. I don't know how to explain this one away. It's both exciting and scary. Exciting in that the unknown and the paranormal have seemingly presented themselves to me, and scary in that the paranormal is seemingly real and it's right on my doorstep.
I live in a small town, work at a gas station. Open one morning. It's 7 a.m. Just reading the newspaper. See an old, so I thought at first, lady across the street. She had really messy hair and wasn't wearing shoes. This didn't seem weird. The town I live in has a large population of mentally ill and senior citizens. She walks over looking at me with a weird look. I glance down at the newspaper for no joke 1 second. Look up, and there she is at the door. Holy shit, that was fast. The hell did she do, teleport? Goku style? She walks in and is just staring at me. I thought she was a junkie or drunk. What can I get for you? I ask. She stares at me for a good 5 seconds before yelling, "How much are the lighters?" I jumped a bit and replied, $1.25. She stares at me for another 5 seconds and replied, "Too much." She walks out slowly and looks back at me with the most weird smile, showing a nasty set of teeth. No goodbye, just walks out. I checked the camera footage when my boss arrives to see how she crossed the road so quickly. The footage just shows her moving at an unnatural speed, like walking, but her legs and feet are moving like the footage was sped up. But it wasn't. Me and my boss look at each other like, what the fuck? Never saw her before or after that morning. Creepy. I'll never forget that day.
Up at camp. It's one of the many ponds off of Lake Ontario. Have a younger brother and a bunch of cousins. All of us are within 3 years of each other. Up at camp for a family reunion. Have 2 campsites. Up above, which was 2 blocks back from the water, and down below, which was on the shore. There's dense woods up above. All the grown-ups are down below. Me and my cousins decide to go fart around in the woods. A big trail cuts through the woods out to the main road, and halfway up it we notice for the first time another, smaller, much harder to notice trail. Take the path less chosen. Come to a small clearing sort of. Notice that there's boxes of ceramic plates everywhere. Naturally, we start whipping and tossing them at the nearest trees. We get bored and keep exploring. See an old rotted-out car just up ahead, then another as we get closer, and another and another. All clearly haven't moved in decades and are full of leaves and overgrown and shit. In short order, we see an old dilapidated house in front of us. These old cars are in its backyard. At first, we're all quiet and still. No one's moving or talking. We're just waiting to see. One of my younger cousins goes to look under one of the cars, and he claims he sees an old lumpy tarp, in that it looked like it was wrapped around something. We look under the other cars, and all of them had lumpy rolled-up tarps under them. I go in for a closer look. I'm half under the car, and right when I touch the tarp and give it a shove, feeling something very heavy wrapped within, I can hear my older cousin, who had 3 months on me, inhale sharply and swear under his breath. He whispers my name, and I jump up and see that he is staring at the window next to the back door of the house. Only me and him see it. My brother nor the rest of our cousins heard him, so they're fucking about checking out the cars. There in the darkness of the windows, we could see a pair of eyes and the silhouette of a face. The 2 of us are staring right at whatever it was, barely 10 feet away from us, separated by a pane of glass. The eyes blink and the face goes away. We both blurt out, "Oh shit," in unison and take off running. My brother and the rest of our cousins fall in line. We sprinted the entire way back to camp. Big and tall as I was for my age, I moved as fast as my slightly older cousin, who was much smaller and agile from growing up kicking a soccer ball around all the time. The whole quarter-mile back down below, we ran like the wind. No one thought anything of us arriving suddenly and out of breath. Must have been some game. Later that night, it's mostly just us around the campfire. It's really late. Start telling ghost stories. We nearly scare the proverbial shit out of our younger brothers and cousins, because it wasn't until then that they finally thought to ask us why we started running. They tell us that before we had started to run, they had half-dragged one of the tarps out from under the car and had almost unrolled it when a powerful stink came over them and a dark sludge started to seep out of it. In the years following, we never saw that house again. There was roughly a half-mile stand between the last access road and the main road, where the woods was that we were exploring. Every time we went down that main road, I could never see that big old abandoned house, and had never seen it before either. 3 years back, someone had most of that land directly behind up above clear-cut, and as it was happening that summer, we still saw no sign at all of that old house or any of the cars in the back.
During my teenage years, I used to be quite the edgelord. I looked up things online involving demons and the likes. I decided, fuck it, let's try this shit out. not like I'm doing anything else, so I went halfway through with some kind of ritual thing, then lost interest. Strange thing is that since that point, I started having near-death experiences, and it was after my first time too. Example 1. My first near-death experience. Around 4 days after the undone ritual, I was on my way to the tram, like the city one that never really goes very fast, but is extremely convenient to get around. I remember I just stood still for a while. Then I somehow ended up by the side of the tram just before it hit me in the shoulder. It was about to stop, so I didn't get hit in full speed or anything. But if I would have stood a little closer, I would have been ran over instead of getting thrown into the air. I didn't suffer any serious damage to my knowledge. Example 2. This was some months later. Some strange shit had been happening in between. The entire family moved to the countryside. When I was exploring the nearby city, more like a village, I passed a rather modest and old stone bridge with a river underneath, along with rocks and whatnot. As I passed over the bridge, minding my own business, I got ran into by a bike. I got pushed towards the edge, which just had a thin rope thing to protect anyone from falling. The cyclist picked up his bike normally and continued on his way as if nothing had happened. I was caught by a small pillar thing that held up the rope. Some months later, these things stopped happening, but I have felt some sort of constant presence since they stopped happening.
Never shared this before. Here goes nothing. Be about 11 to 13. Just moved into a new house in a new city. Take the upstairs bedroom so I can have my own wing of the house. I'm the only one up there. Start staying up late over the first summer vacation in the house. Every night around midnight, hear footsteps pacing up and down the stairs. They never come all the way to the top, just about halfway up, and then back to the bottom. Light steps with a brisk rhythmic 2-step per second pace. Like walking up them quickly, but not running or stomping. Have an old bunk bed that squeaks at the slightest movement. Every time I try to get up to see what it is, the second the bed makes any noise, it stops. Doesn't matter where it is on the stairs, in the middle or on the bottom. Just stops. Peek my head out the door to find nothing in the stairway. After about a month, I tell my mom about it. She tells me it's just the dogs. I know goddamn well that ain't no dog. Start to get bothered and ask my brothers, whose rooms are at the bottom of the stairs, if they hear it. They just look at me like I'm crazy. Once I started telling people about it, everything started changing. It no longer stops halfway up. I should mention it would keep the same rhythm up and down continuously, not stopping at the bottom to turn around and come back up. Just one solid rhythm as long as I would remain silent. As it's going down and back, every time it came up, it would come one step higher up the staircase. I would always make noise when it was about 3/4 of the way up, or so it would stop. For about 6 months, it always did, and then it didn't. Have a friend over for a weekend sleepover, just hanging out in my room upstairs. TV and light are on. Door is wide open. Around 11:45, I guess I start to get visibly uneasy, and my friend asks what's up. Proceed to tell him the story. He tries to be tough and say he's not scared of that shit, and that it's a wuss 'cause it runs away when you make noise. Out loud, talking toward the door, so if it's there it can hear him. Why, Justin, y.jpg. Midnight comes. No sign of the steps. At 3 in the morning, I'm feeling pretty confident he scared it off. Sitting in the middle of the room, playing with Legos when it starts. This time it's different. It's stomping up and down the steps. Can see the water in my cup shaking. It starts off coming more than 3/4 of the way up and goes down twice as fast. We're staring at each other with our mouths wide open. After it takes another lap, my friend grows some balls and yells out something to the effect of, "Knock that shit off," on its way down. It stops in its tracks about 5 steps from the bottom and starts coming back up slowly. About 1.5 seconds between steps, stomping louder than ever before. Friend is visibly shitting himself with tears welling up. It comes all the way up to the top of the stairs. Pauses a moment. Friend gives a choked squeaky, "Please stop." It takes the 3 paces from the landing at the top of the steps to my door, just outside where we would be able to see it. Sit there about 30 seconds in silence. The second I begin to move my arm, the wide-open door slams shut so hard the handle broke. The thing runs full sprint down the stairs. Friend and I immediately scream at the top of our lungs and begin crying until my parents came to see what was wrong. Nobody in the house heard the steps or the door slamming. I never heard the steps again after that day. Not once. Just stopped cold turkey. The house was brand new. We were the first people to ever live in it, so I have no idea.
It's not really scary, but it's a real experience with an unknown creature. 19 years old. Brazil. Probably the country with the most supernatural shit in the world. Traveling with a friend's family to their countryside house. State of Minas Gerais. A mainly rural region known for weird events like the Virginia aliens. We arrived at the house. Big property surrounded by a forest and rural stuff. 2 comfy days hiking, trekking and camping. On the second day, we are camping. Darkness everywhere. Around 2 a.m. trying to sleep. Start hearing steps and laughs around the barracks. Silence after 15 to 20 minutes of terror. Third day, 2 a.m. again. It was cold, so we decided to stay at home and watch some movies. Farm animals start to get agitated. Dogs howling. We asked my friend's grandpa what the hell that could be. Don't worry, it's just the Varetão. Varetão means something like big stick. He advises me to not go outside and don't open the windows. I go to the second floor, enter my designated room, carefully open a bit of the window. The dogs are crazy at this moment. My eyes get used to the darkness. See the pick-related walking slowly, almost having a stroke. The creature goes into the forest and disappears. The animals relax. Next day, I ask the old man again about Varetão. He says everyone in the town is used to it. Nobody knows what exactly it is. He appears on a weekly basis.
Well, this was my creepiest experience, but nothing was verifiable, so it may have all been in my head. Even if it was real, I don't think it was what I actually thought was happening at the time. I don't know what happened, to be honest. Be 14 years old. A friend and I were getting really big into mystical religions, altered mental states, etc. This is also the same time I start looking into aliens. Read something that put me under the impression that aliens are telepathic and beneficial. I'm thinking that they wouldn't contact us in the open because we're such an aggressive species, that they'd probably need help from an actual human. In a meditative trance before bed, trying to communicate with what I think are aliens. Telling them I want to help them. They can use me to help them. I am open to communication with them and they can use me to help connect with human society. Blah, blah, blah. Genuinely trying to help with my stupidity. Nothing happens. Go to bed. Wake up. Hear my name being spoken. Think I must have been dreaming for a second, but I hear it again. I can't place where the voice is coming from. I could hear it a couple more times, very gently and quietly, but it didn't seem to be coming from any direction. It definitely sounded like it was coming from outside my head, in the real world, but it seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Only other person home was my mother, and it definitely wasn't her voice. Kind of freaked out. Didn't even remember the alien stuff as a possibility. Thought it might be an intruder or a friend playing a prank or something. Look around. Can't see anyone. Think about how strange that voice was. Think I must have been still half asleep or something. Go back to bed. Hear dogs barking. Wake up. Still the middle of the night. I am butt naked, running down the alleyway. Woke up in the middle of already running somehow. Go home. Nothing happened since. Still freaky to remember. Should also mention, that was about the time I started having a number of minor, but notable, health problems. Started regularly having sharp or throbbing pains in one of my feet. Got it checked out, and the doctor said it looked like I had a minor bone fracture that healed up wrong because I never had it treated. But I never had foot pains before this and can't remember a time when I would have broken my foot. It would have had to have happened before this event, but I didn't feel pains in it until after. Migraines a lot after that event. Started having weird intestinal problems. Developed IBS. Had to change my diet just to function. I could focus super well in school, still getting really good grades, but I couldn't really seem to focus on anything else well, and was having trouble in all other areas of life. A few other small, persistent problems developed, all very shortly after this event. Late teens. I notice a weird lump on the side of my chest. I don't get it checked out because I'm a stupid teen. In my early 20s, when I finally have a job with health insurance and I have a little more sense, I decide to go get it looked at. It's not one of those metallic pieces that some alien abductees seem to get. Doctors aren't quite sure what it is, just some little organic mass that seems to have grown in one of my sweat glands. Not cancerous, but they recommend a small surgery to remove it, just in case it grows and interferes with anything. I get the surgery, and all my health problems disappear within the next few days. I have no idea if that's related, but it just seems so coincidental that this all started right after that event, and then ended when the thing was removed. I'm in my early 30s now, and haven't had any recurrence of any of those health issues.
I've got one. This really happened to me. Live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. Hear annoying scratching sounds coming from the wall behind my bed at night. Nobody lived in the apartment room that is linked to my bedroom, so I have no idea where it's coming from. Start hearing it almost every night. One night, instead of the scratching, I hear a loud crash sound come from the hallway outside my room. I look through the peephole to try and see anything, and see that a square piece of ceiling had fallen from inside the hallway. Opened the door to check it out, and honest to God, there was a raccoon jumping up and down at the end of the hallway, scratching at the emergency exit. I shut the exit door to the hallway, go back to my room, and call the night monitor to tell them. They don't believe me at all. Swear up and down that it's true. They see it for themselves and call animal control to pick it up. They do so and explain that there's a crawl space above my floor, and one of them somehow found its way up there. They go up the crawl space and find nothing else, so they block it off so nothing from the outside can get in there again. Think I can finally rest easy. That night, hear the scratching again coming from the same place. Start to get pissed, but the scratching stops. Suddenly hear a fucking loud roar come from the wall, which sounded exactly like a grizzly bear's roar or something. I still hear it, but it only happens once every 2 weeks at night. I got ceiling bears. Who do I call?
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.